Data never lies, although mine might. Today, we're going to be looking through what 1 month of Balatro looks like and solving Balatro with the statistics. In this experiment, I recorded and uploaded 30 YouTube videos totaling out to 10.1347 hours of content. This is also 36,485 seconds. The YouTube videos on average came out to be 20 minutes and 16 seconds long. Throughout these, I used 140 total jokers and 60 different individual jokers. The joker I ended up using the most was Hologram with 10 total uses. Second was Green Joker with 7. Third was Lucky Cat with 6. They all went down from there. Now, this is only the jokers that I counted as my favorites. The rest of them are here. 27 jokers appeared at least 2 times, which means 33 jokers only appeared once in my final run. On the final boss blind, only 33 jokers made it through one time. Of the jokers I used, 50% of them ended up being uncommon, 33% were common, 14% were rare, and 3% were legendary. When you roll the shop in Balatro, 70% of the time, the joker that appears is going to be common. 25% of the time, it's going to be uncommon. And only 5% of the time is it going to be rare. You'll never find a legendary joker in the shop, only through a soul card. What this means is that when that rare joker appears 5% of the time, you should buy it pretty often. When that uncommon joker appears 25% of the time, you should buy it pretty often. Common jokers are bought at a much lower rate. On the additions to the jokers, the base jokers made up about 68% of all the jokers used. Foil jokers only 7%, holographic jokers 8%, polychrome 14%, and negative gets the very smallest slice of 4%. Now, what this means is base jokers are a crucial part of the build. You should not pick up a joker just because it has one of these enhancements. Now, there's no reason not to pick up a negative joker if you can afford it, because it's a free slot, but it's not a necessity for your build. Eternal did not turn out to be a downside, which I already knew, but this reinforces. You can have an Eternal joker in your build very often, very close to half of the time, or half your jokers could be Eternal, almost half, and your build can still be wildly successful, because Eternal's not a downside on the right joker. Now, on some jokers, it does end up being a downside, but on some, it's an upside. Rental, however, is pretty close to almost a downside. I would consider it a downside, but on the right jokers, Rental is not a bad tag for it to have. Because if the joker is good enough, I think the Rental tag is a worthy downside. Of the decks I used, Ghost deck was by far the most prominent. I used more Ghost deck than any other deck, any other two combined. I used a lot of Ghost deck. Almost more than 50% of my decks were Ghost deck. Yellow deck came second, and I believe Zodiac deck came third. We had a couple of, what is this? I believe this is Checkered deck, Red deck, Green deck. What was this? I believe this was Erratic. Nebula got an appearance. I don't think I ever did a Plasma deck. But this just goes to show, this Ghost deck goes back to show why so many of my jokers ended up being polychrome, why that was at 14%. Because you get a free hex with the Ghost deck. Of the poker hands I ended up playing, 27% of them were flushes. 18.8% were high cards. And 39.2% were pairs. Pairs are my favorite hand in the game, and I think pairs are the best hand in the game, and I played way more of them than I did anything else. This, I believe, is 2 pairs, this is straights, and this is 4 of a kind. Now, I want to reiterate that these are only the hands that were my most played hands at the end of the run. I played other types of hands, but they never ended up being my most played poker hand. As for the discards throughout the run, these are going to be on usage on a per run through ante 8. These next few graphs are. For the discards, there are no statistical outliers, even though there are highs and there are lows. The average was about 132 times, or 132 cards discarded in a normal ante 8 run. The high was 262, both of these hit those marks, and the low was 14. Reroll times. How many times did I reroll in an average ante 8 run? Once again, we have no outliers, even though there are highs and there are lows. The average was 31. The high was 85 and the low was 1. But there are no statistical outliers. Did I have money problems? Well, the average amount of money I ended the run with was $55. The highest amount of money I ended the run with was $169, and the low was -2. Although you may think -2 would end up being an outlier, it's not, but 169 is our first outlier in these sets of data. How many cards did I purchase in each run? Well, we have another outlier at 103. That's a high outlier, even though it might not look higher than the rest of the data set. Came out as an outlier. 58 was the average amount of money, 39 was the low amount of money, and obviously our outlier 103 was the high amount of money. How many times did I skip within a run? Only 8 runs I skipped in. Only 8 of them, which through 30 is not a lot. It's very close to being a fourth of a run. 1 every 4 runs I considered skipping. The skip percent is very low. There's very rare cases you should ever take a skip in Balatro. But when you do, it's beneficial. Possibly, you have to make it beneficial. You have to use the right skip. You should not be skipping that often. What now? Well, after this experiment, I've decided that occasional live streams will replace daily uploads, because I do enjoy making content, but I can't keep up at this pace. More frequent YouTube shorts will be uploaded, and some runs will still get their own full video if I deem it necessary. I want to reiterate, none of this is binding, and I can do whatever I want. And this is how much I love you based on if you liked the video or not. So 98, you didn't like it. 99, if you did like it. And all the way up at 100 if you both liked and subscribed. And you even get a bonus, you get a kiss. Mwah.